Welcome to Product Mastery Now, where we simplify the 7 knowledge areas for product mastery. These are the product management practices that really elevate your career, your influence, and help you develop those products that customers love. Why do we talk about these? These are the 7 knowledge areas that I discovered 10 years into my career, and I've been sharing them ever since because they were so valuable to me and continue to be valuable today. If you want to find out more about all 7, simply go to productmasterynow.com. I'm 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐵𝐠𝐿, a product management professor, practitioner, and your host. And in this podcast, we're going to cover the last of the 7th ones. The series isn't quite done. We'll talk a little bit more next week as well as a wrap up about some key takeaways. But today we're going to dive into the 7th one. And if you want to find the full show notes for this, simply go to productmasterynow.com/493. I'm also doing this as a masterclass format with slides to go along with it. And you'll find the slides on our YouTube channel, the video version of this. Just search for Product Mastery Now on YouTube and you'll find us there. Okay, and these 7 knowledge areas that I talk about for product mastery, they come from PDMA, the Product Development Management Association. PDMA has been around since 1976, researching and curating the body of knowledge for product managers, for product innovators. There's a wealth of knowledge to tap into, and if you're really serious about your career, you should be tapping into this. Find out more about PDMA at pdma.org, and also consider going to the conference this year. They have it every September. This year it is in St. Louis, Missouri, September 14th to 17th. That's September 14 to 17, and I'll be there enjoying the conference as well. Would look forward to meeting you if you are there. Please come and say hi. But check it out. That's pdma.org. Okay, the knowledge area we're talking about in this episode is culture and teams. And you'll find out why culture is important. And hopefully you've experienced that already, but it really makes a difference in how productive a team is together and how that team feels like they can really perform well together. The topics in the culture and teams knowledge area are broken down into innovation, culture, and climate, management responsibilities, product innovation team structures, team development, leadership, virtual teams, and incentivizing product innovation. And each of those areas contains several subtopics. For this episode, I'll share aspects of innovation culture and team characteristics. So first, culture and that innovation culture. Let's start with a common understanding of culture. A good definition is shared beliefs, core values, assumptions, and expectations of people in the organization. Culture really reflects the organization's values, what's important to the organization. It's those observable customs we see, what people talk about, the ceremonies, the stories that are shared, who's lifted up as heroes in the organization. It really infers how work is accomplished and in some sense expresses survivability, right? What do we do to survive and thrive at work? And also what do we know per the culture that isn't acceptable? And another term that's often used when discussing culture is climate. And I'll define climate as a localized set of characteristics in a specific work environment. Basically, think of climate as the culture inside a team or group, right? Not the entire organization, but a smaller context. What impacts the climate of a team? Well, there's several elements. Certainly the leadership approach, leadership quality, how communications occur, how frequent they are, the tasks itself, the responsibilities that we have, the work we have to get done, the trust that is exhibited inside the team, and the autonomy that people have working on what's expected from the team, recognition and rewards that are used both at an individual and team level, and then having that opportunity for advancement, recognizing that the work we're doing will lead to future responsibilities. Hopefully that will be enjoyable as well. And of course, employee engagement. You already know organization culture and climate have a strong impact on product success. You've seen this from the work that you do, but some specific factors include communicating a clear strategic goal, right? The team gets together and we need to have a clear vision of what we're working on together. Building diverse customer-focused teams. For our product work is somewhat unique, that we're certainly going to be more focused on the customer than some other groups, and they're also tend to be very cross-functional. We also want to see support for experimentation because if we're doing something new, that's the nature of our product work, we're going to have to be learning as we go, and experiments are helpful for that. And providing opportunities for collaboration as well as networking and developing talent and organizational capabilities along the way, developing our talent and helping others as well. Taken together, these make work more enjoyable and rewarding. Let's take a look at an example from 3. They've been a leader in innovation throughout their history. The Global Innovation 1000 report used them to illustrate a key point about being a leader in innovation related to culture. They shared companies whose strategic goals are clear and whose cultures strongly support those goals possess a huge advantage. And the 3M CTO elaborated further on this, saying, we call it customer inspired innovation. Connect with the customer, find out their articulated and unarticulated needs, and then determine the capability at 3M that can be developed across the company that could solve the customer's problem in a unique, proprietary, and sustainable way. What key themes do you see in the quote from the 3M CTO? Well, some things emphasized there is being customer centric, that the 3M capabilities were our leverage, right? And they're doing it in a unique way to create unique value. They're really tying to their core capabilities, leveraging 3M resources, but starting with it being customer centric, just like our product work needs to do as well. And there's been several studies that have found many organizations lack an innovation culture. For example, a study of 150 American companies found that only 5% of employees felt highly motivated to innovate. More than 75% reported their ideas were poorly reviewed and analyzed. 1 in 7, that's 16%, did not believe intellectual property was viewed as a critical business function. And nearly half, 49%, felt they would not receive any recognition or benefit from developing successful ideas. What do those research findings sound like to you? Right? It sounds like employees are probably being asked to, in some way, contribute ideas, being asked so-called innovate, do a better job innovating without actually recognizing what that means at times and having a process for it. And yet, even though we might be asked to do that in environments, not seeing any actual benefits from doing so, and recognizing that if we do share ideas, that there probably isn't going to be action taken on them. Right? That sounds like for at least an innovator, sounds like a discouraging culture to be part of. For your organization to create a thriving innovation culture, some common factors that lead to success include the strategic and innovation goals being clearly communicated across all levels of the organization, right? We have a clear understanding of what is important to the organization right now and ultimately how that relates to our work as well. Responsible failures are accepted as learning opportunities and are not punished. Environments that have a fear of making a mistake can't be learning at the same time. Individual and team performance are appropriately recognized and rewarded in support of innovation goals. So teams that are doing the right things are getting rewarded for doing those right things. Hiring decisions include both functional capability as well as fit with the innovation culture of the organization. And also, internal and external communications are clear and consistent. And then this might be interesting to some of you that haven't been part of high-performing teams before. Constructive conflict is encouraged to support idea generation and problem solving. The best functioning teams, the high-performing teams, are engaged in conflict to figure out the best way to get work done. And finally, work is engaging and leaders encourage both professional and personal growth. That's 7 key characteristics that lead to innovation success in teams. Okay, I have an application question for you. Say you're helping to onboard a new employee to the organization. How do you describe the organizational culture? What words do you use? What do you tell them? If you're struggling with this, culture is often a reflection of what's important to us, our values, and some sense of the things that are expected in our work and the things that are kind of discouraged. Right? So think for a moment what you would share them. And similarly, let's say that same person is joining your team. What do you tell them about your team culture, about the climate of the team? What's the expectations? How do you communicate? How do you interact? How do you hold each other mutually accountable? Or do you? Kind of what's the expectations? So those are good things to think through as you apply the importance of culture to your work and to product innovation. Let's move on and talk about teams more specifically and a brief introduction to teams itself. What is a team, right? So one definition is that a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to, and these are the key things that pulls together, committed to a common purpose, so we know what we're doing together, committed to a set of performance goals and an approach for achieving those goals. So there's this mutual sense that we're working together to achieve something that's important. And then finally, they also hold themselves mutually accountable. So they're holding each other mutually accountable, trying to motivate each other to reach those performance goals. So common purpose, set of performance goals, and mutual accountability. Product teams are known as cross-functional teams with people from different functions of the organization, such as product management, engineering, development, design, marketing, finance, etc. Cross-functional teams significantly improve the speed of product development and can also increase the probability of product success. So now that we kind of have an idea about teams and cross-functional teams, let's get into a few clear characteristics and also some common issues. And we'll first start with common issues. It comes no surprise to anyone with different working styles and priorities. Conflict is an aspect of innovation projects. It's also an aspect of just about any team. If we have two or more people working together, conflict is likely to happen. But as I shared before, it's a characteristic of high-performing teams because they view conflict as really positive. It's a way to achieve a desired result and bringing together the strengths of everyone involved. This means that you need skills in resolving conflicts in a positive way and make use of conflict being positive to a team. A common model for conflict resolution is known as the Thompson-Kilmann model. And the two dimensions are shown here as being a level of cooperativeness and also a level of assertiveness. Cooperation is viewed as concern for others, while assertiveness is also known as concern for self, and focuses on getting one's own views accepted by others. By combining all levels of cooperativeness and assertiveness, Thompson-Kilmann created 5 conflict resolution approaches. Basically, think of this as a 2x2 matrix with one approach right in the middle, kind of being the average. So it's useful to know what all 5 are, and then we'll talk about what works best for high-performing teams. But the first approach is simply called avoiding, and this is shown by a low concern for others, so low cooperation, and a low concern for yourself. You're not very assertive. In many cases, the avoiding style leaves the problem unresolved, and consequently, we're just kind of walking away from the problem. We're withdrawing from the problem, not expecting the conflict to get better if we do that. Next is accommodating, and this is characterized by a higher level of cooperation, but a low level of assertiveness, and it has its place for sure. In this situation, a team member may yield the conflict to others in order to maintain harmony on the team. An intermediate level of cooperativeness and assertiveness, this is the one that would be in the middle, kind of the average of that 2x2 matrix, is called compromising. And many people believe that compromising is an effective solution, yet it is often viewed as more of a loss-loss solution because no one gained fully what they wanted. It's a way to move things forward, and we see this in political environments quite frequently where we're trying to get some movement forward, but compromising doesn't ultimately lead to the best win outcome. And then we have competing. This is where there's a high level of assertiveness, basically saying, hey, it's going to be my way, and a very low level of cooperation. You're not caring about the others involved. So you're directing what the outcome is. And we might think of this as more of a win-lose approach, right? If you're taking this approach, and it can be easy to fall into this in some situations, where you have the experience and you've been there and you know better. But recognize that when you take this approach, you're basically disregarding everyone else's opinion. So it's to be used sparingly in very rare situations. Then we have collaborating, the final approach of the 5 to talk about. And many people believe, including myself, that collaborating is the most effective method because it involves high degrees of concern for others and concern for yourself. It requires dialogue so that everyone involved can express their own view of the situation. A drawback of collaboration is that it can be more time-consuming, but it has a high probability of creating win outcomes. This is why high-performing teams engage in this, because we're trying to create win outcomes and better methods of accomplishing the task. So using this as a problem-solving approach to figure out how we can do the work best together on any particular task. Okay, what are some of the things that make successful product teams? Well, let's go through some characteristics and make sure we're just clear on the things that we should be focusing on for successful product teams. We might think about these as the elements of team climate, those cultural elements of a team. And we'll categorize them into 3 areas: strategic alignment, engagement, and empowerment. And I'll talk briefly about each one. Strategic alignment, this is where team members need to understand how the project is connected to business objectives. The common purpose of the project is aligned with the overall goals of the organization. When we talked about strategy, the strategy knowledge area several episodes ago, this is the key aspect. Any work that we do, any idea that we have that we're trying to get attention for, if we can align it with a strategic objective, we're going to have a much easier time getting attention for that idea. Also, we're going to be helping the organization move forward on what's important to the organization. So the work that we do on innovation, on product innovation, making the next version of that product, making a new product, we need to make sure it's aligned to the overall goals of the organization. And then engagement. Motivated team members are going to feel a sense of pride in their work and camaraderie with their teammates. They're more engaged in the work and with each other. And rewards and recognition for both individual and team contributions drive improved performance. And if you've ever had a really good team leader, you've seen these actions taken where both the team excels and is rewarded, and the individuals are also rewarded for their performance. And then empowerment. Empowered team members are more creative and make decisions that lead to better product designs. Open dialogue is encouraged between team members, and team members' views are considered in decision-making for the project. The team itself is empowered to do the work in the best way possible, and in part because everyone's holding each other mutually accountable, they're also working hard to reach those goals together. And then teams with strategic alignment and empowerment can become high-performing teams when they're supported by 10 characteristics. And let's go through each one of these. And as I go through these, maybe you think about how you've seen these show up as part of your teams, or maybe how they could show up. The first one is clearly defined common goals, right? So you're going to hear some key principles reiterated here. We have clearly defined common goals focused on a single purpose. The team knows where they're headed and what needs to be accomplished. Next, the team leader encourages people's involvement, coordinates the team, and has strong communication skills, and that they can encourage shared leadership roles across the team as well. So clear leadership is in place, and with that, the sense of mutual accountability to get work done as well. Involving everyone on the team so people are not overlooked, everyone is contributing well. Value and acknowledging all the contributions. So we want to make sure there's a sense that we recognize people's work and we're recognizing what they're getting done, right? This is that self-esteem level of Maslow's hierarchy, knowing that the work we're doing is important and that others are noticing as well. And team members feel like they can speak freely, give relevant feedback with each other, and build effective relationships, right? So there's open communication. Next, because people feel empowered, they do have the power in the team to make decisions and to work through issues and have a power to influence what's going on in the team as well. And then there's effective team processes and work is planned. Roles are clear and responsibilities are clearly defined. Also, the team members, they treat each other with respect and integrity, giving a mutual sense of trust. And there's also respect for differences in the team and ability for people to disagree, right? We talked about that importance to disagree as we work towards the best way of getting work done. And that can lead to conflict. So we need to recognize that conflict is positive. During the course of our work, there will be some creative tension that comes up, and we need to have effective conflict management solutions to resolve that, such as the collaboration approach to really focus on the problem that we're dealing with and not each other's positions, but to move forward and get the problem solved together. I have a quick exercise for you to think about, just to leave you with some ideas around being a high-performing team. And for your most important project, what I want you to do is make an assessment of the team and use the characteristics that are found, those 10 things I just went through. And this will be easier if you're watching the video version of this and seeing the slide. But for each one of those 10 items of high-performing teams, rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, and use it as a scorecard to think about where could we improve, where could you improve on your team, and to make it a better high-performing team. Maybe we tend to avoid conflict and we don't see it as being positive. Negative things have happened out of it before. So that's an area where we could work and just have a discussion about that. It's okay for us to disagree on how work is done, but it will probably reach a better outcome when we work together to actually do that. So just use that. Think through the 10 areas and how your team would rank in each one of those areas. And that's what that looks like if you're watching the video, is to just make a list of the 10 and do the ranking exercise. And With your rankings, identify the characteristics you can influence directly that need to be improved. While all are important, open communication, trust, and effective conflict management are essential for high-performing teams and are really good places to improve if they need improvement already. Again, those areas are open communication, trust, and effective conflict management. And a takeaway question for you too. Think about your best team experience. What were the characteristics of that team? What made that the best team experience? Sometimes it's having to have a really poor team experience to provide the contrast to know, wow, we had it really good before. What's different, right? Identify those characteristics that made your best team experience so good. And then do think about that. I know this is a bit uncomfortable, maybe the worst team experience. What was missing? What was going on? What made it the worst? And then focus on thinking what you can do to emphasize those elements that made the best team your best, and then to minimize those worst elements. Okay, gave a brief introduction in this episode to culture elements and climate, the culture of an individual group, of a team, some characteristics of a successful innovation team, and then really to move to a high-performing team, what is in place and what can you focus on? The culture and teams knowledge area has many other elements to talk about, but at least we got into a few of those. And if you want to find out more about the entire knowledge of area, there's two good ways you can do that. The PDMA book, the Product Development Management Body of Knowledge, a guidebook for product innovation, training, and certification. The third edition is out, which I had the pleasure of being part of. And you can find that on Amazon and other places as well. And then also I do have training on this. This is the core work that I do outside my professor university hat on, the Rapid Product Mastery Experience. This is for individuals as well as for groups. And you can do it as a self-paced training to go through as an individual to really help you prepare for the next level of your career. It's taking what you know now and giving you a framework and adding to that. It will give you the tools and processes and concepts that you need for the next level of responsibility that you're going to have. And also groups often do this inside companies, groups of product managers, sometimes product teams, or even senior leaders to understand how product innovation, product management actually works. And I have a discount code for you to make this a little bit easier. Companies often reimburse for this if you're interested in doing this training. But if that's not the case for you, there's a 30% discount code available for you. Even if your company does reimburse, you still get the 30% discount. Simply go to productmasterynow.com/RPM to look at how this training works. And the discount code is podcast. Pretty easy, right? PODCAST. And as the time to prepare for that next level of your career is not when the opportunity presents itself. You want to be ready when it does. So you need to get ready now. So do think about that. Think about investing in your professional career right now by getting ready for that future opportunity. This, again, is good training for that purpose. productmasterynow.com/RPM. And I want to leave you with a quote. When all think alike, then no one is thinking. You probably have heard some related things to this before, that if no one is thinking about this differently, if no one is expressing a different perspective or view, then do we really have the right people on the team, right? When all think alike, then no one is thinking, from Walter Lippmann. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. Really appreciate you listening. If you want to find the written version of everything we discussed, simply go to productmasterynow.com/493. As always, keep innovating.
Thank you for listening to Product Mastery Now, where product leaders and managers gain product mastery through practical knowledge, influence, and confidence. By listening, you are becoming a product master, creating products customers love. Find additional resources at productmasterynow.com. Keep innovating.